Adventures of Superman, John Kent, issue 1, Tom Taylor writing with Clayton Henry on the art. So this is our new John Kent Superman book. Is a 6-issue miniseries written by Tom Taylor, as I said, and interesting premise, this book, which is that someone's going around, well, I say someone, it's revealed in the first couple of pages. Ultraman's going around killing Supermen, specifically Kal-Els from different universes. And we see him kill a Superman in one universe, and he's got him by the neck, and he's like, "Any last words?" And he's like, "Lois." And Ultraman's disappointed. He's like, "Always the same." Crunch.
Yeah, it's these times where, as much as we love Tom Taylor, right, because he writes these hopeful stories, the dude also has a real skill at writing super dark, depressing things.
Oh, he's got a mean streak. He knows how to make us upset. Sure. So that's that is like our tease that like sets up the premise, and we go to John, and he's with Jay. He's talking about having a secret identity now and how that's unique, and he doesn't have cameras following him. But then he sees stuff falling out of the sky. It's a bunch of satellites from Lord Industries are all like crashing down towards Earth. He calls Oracle to bring in the Titans to try and like help save people. They're doing it all over the North and South America. He's flying to Europe. But someone else, a mysterious other figure, is saving Asia. And it's like, oh, who is this? And he eventually runs into him. It turns out to be Val-Zod. So the premise of this issue really is that Val-Zod and Red Tornado from Val-Zod's Earth, they're here to recruit John to go after Ultraman. And the reason why they're not going to Clark is because they've done that before from a different universe. And whatever Ultraman's got that he's using to weaken Superman is specifically tuned to Kal-El. It's specifically tuned to them. It's not like a kryptonite weakness where all Kryptonians are going to suffer from it. This is specifically targeting him. So they've waited till Clark's not around. He's off-world doing something right now because they know he'd want to get involved. Even though it's dangerous for him, he would still do it because he's Superman. So they're like, no, we've done that before. It's got him killed. It has to be John. And of course, they don't even know going into it that John's got a personal history with Ultraman where he's the one who actually had him held captive and stole his years away from his parents. Do you know what I think I like about this? I like that the audience, I think, by and large, didn't like aging up John, right? I think everyone, even though he's been good since they aged him up and whatever, like the stories have been fine, and he's been a likable character, everyone felt it was too soon to like take away the kid version of John Kent. And I think what Taylor's doing here is he's transposing that feeling onto an in-universe character. So we now, in-universe, John blames Ultraman for doing that, for stealing those years. So it kind of like, I think it makes us like root for him in this story. Like, we feel like, oh, John wants like justice for taking those years away. So I think inherently, like, on a meta sense, like I think the audience can sort of get on board with that and feel more invested in the conflict. So I don't know. I think it works because of how the audience typically felt about missing those years.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and there's that grievance too that John feels because he missed out on the time too. So I like to, it's this time it's personal kind of vibes.
Yeah, that's my point. Is that like he feels that way, and it mirrors with what we feel about the situation. So it syncs up nicely, and we can be motivated along with him. So I mean, that's basically the issue, is them recruiting him. That's the bulk of it.
So my only negative here comes from getting the physical copy. And I remember a couple of months ago, someone on Twitter was asking us about the paper quality, and I hadn't noticed in the books I was reading if the paper quality had not gone off a cliff, but what wasn't what it once was. And in this book particularly, at least the copy I got, the paper seems super, super thin.
Oh, really?
Like, as I was reading the book, I felt like, so I don't know if this is going forward. None of my other physical books this week felt that way, Batman and Poison Ivy. So I don't know if maybe I just got a bad copy. But yeah, man, paper quality on this book was a bummer.
Interesting. I mean, is it possible because it's a $3.99 book that they're cheaping out and only the $4.99 books are getting the better quality? I don't know. It could be. But yeah, again, the other two physical books I got was Batman and Poison Ivy, and those
felt like regular pages. Like, yeah, it's been a little bit of different kind of paper, but it was like a across the way move. Like it was a level. It wasn't bad or worse. This though, compared to the other books I've been reading, physically just was not there. And that's a bummer because I'm gonna, I'm trying to collect all the John Kent stuff. I have everything thus far, since he's come back or since he's been around. And yeah, at least I'll have more room because it doesn't seem to take up as much space because thinner paper. So hey, maybe that's looking at the positives here, DC.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're trying new things. Maybe they'll go back on this. Maybe it's a case of certain books were printed at a different, place, and that's the simple answer to it. I don't know.
How'd you like the Clayton Henry art? Because every time I get Clayton Henry, I think of you.
I mean, it's not his worst art, but I still don't. No. I don't really like how he draws heads. That's fundamentally is what it always comes down to. I
will say the action sequence was pretty great with him. Getting the satellites that were dropping out. I felt there was a sense of movement in the art, which I think we always feel with Clayton Henry. And then his babs, I thought his babs looked pretty good.
The action sequentials are usually fine. It's usually just the heads that I'm not super into. But yeah, I mean, obviously once he's introduced to Val-Zod, they all go back to the Kent farm. Lois is there, and when Lois is getting kind of upset that they want John, the big reveal at the end of the issue, the cliffhanger we leave on, is that the red tornado from Val-Zod's Earth, and this is something that maybe people who read Earth 2 and all that stuff that Taylor was involved in back in the day might have known this, but I didn't know this. So it was a, when she dropped that line, because she says something like, I lost, my
Clark.
Yeah, my Clark. And then she's like, wait a minute, you're Clark, who are you? And the last page is her saying, I'm Lois Lane from another Earth. So it's basically saying this is dire straits and that someone's going around killing all the Supermen, which is Ultraman. And so it's personal for John, but it's also double personal because it's his father who's in danger should he not succeed. And obviously this story is called Countdown to Injustice, and we know that the Injustice universe is going to play into this, which makes me think that Ultraman's going to go and maybe try and kill that Superman. And maybe bite off more than you can chew.
You can chew, because that's a Superman that doesn't play.
Yeah. Alternatively, maybe he goes to that universe and goes, wait a minute, I like this Superman. Do you want to team up?
But I just feel like that Superman is like this lawful evil version.
Yeah.
That he's not going to take that kind of shenanigans from Ultraman. But I wonder too how that's going to play with John seeing this dark version of his dad. Or these two dark versions of his dad.
Because Ultraman's already a dark version of his father.
Yeah. But because that was a Superman molded by the loss of Lois. So which always cracks me up though, just because again,
this is just on the table here, but like Injustice Superman's going to talk to Red Tornado Lois, right? And he's going to meet a Lois who's lost or Clark, and we're going to get that conversation. There's no way they don't do that. Now that they've introduced a Lois who's lost Superman, there's no way that Lois does not talk to the Superman who lost a Lois. It's too easy.
And I remember her becoming Red Tornado, but I don't remember the how and the why. But I do remember she was mentoring Val-Zod, and that was all the Tom Taylor stuff. Because I mean, that was the first time I was exposed to Tom Taylor, was in those pages, because I think James Robinson was writing Earth 2, and then he fell off at like issue 10 or 11, and then Tom Taylor had taken over. I'm like, oh, who's this new young writer writing this, multiverse book? And again, nothing was bad about it. It was just different. But yeah, so, and then he went on to write Injustice, and that was kind of his thing. So I feel like also this is a nice come around for Tom Taylor.
Oh yeah, this is him dipping back into everything he started with at DC.
Yeah.
As he feels like he's like paving his new like grand opus with Nightwing and Titans,
Yeah. So, but yeah, I like this. I like the motivation for John with the Ultraman stuff, but also with Val-Zod coming and being like, yeah, we can't ask Clark to do this because he'll play right into the hand. So we need you. And just I love multiversal shenanigans.
Yeah, I like that Lois as soon as he said that, she was like, "You've asked a Clark before, haven't you?" And yeah, we got him killed because he tried to help and he got killed. So I actually really liked that this issue didn't try and overstretch itself. I liked that it was just the recruiting. It was, there was a crisis. We build up to whoever the mystery person is. It turns out to be Val-Zod. And then it's just about okay, this is what's happening. This is why I'm here. And this is what we're recruiting John for. There is also a small moment as well where John's electric powers kind of kick up. And
Kick in.
He's not quite sure still what's going on with them, and honestly, neither are we. We know that Lazarus just has got something to do with it, but we'll see where that goes. But that may also be key to, of course, defeating Ultraman and co. There's those extra powers that make pop
that
up.
could be the edge that he needs, because he hasn't factored in that, to the Kryptonian physiology. So
I quite like this issue. I wasn't in love with the art. I think the art's just fine because I don't really like the heads, but I think I like the pacing of it. I like that this issue made it clear what the stakes were. It sold me on what Ultraman was doing. Having the little prologue scene with him killing a Superman, I thought was perfect. And then also adding in the personal touch of John's own history with Ultraman by the end. And I thought the reveal at the end was good too, especially as someone who never really read much of the Earth 2 stuff.
Yeah.
That was a genuine surprise. It was oh shit, okay. So yeah, that was a good first issue. I'm into what it's doing.
Yeah, I ain't nothing to add. We're
all right, well, okay, in that case, rate the book, Matt.
I'm gonna go 7.5.
I'm happy to go with the 8. It'd probably be a little bit higher if I liked the art more, but I do actually really like what the story's set up so far. So, and the pacing I think is really good.